with Gary Cherry and Coach Johnny Toombs. Brought to you by Twin City Title, Jimmy Cobb Insurance, Texarkana Athletic Club, John Mugno, Oaklawn Bank, Photomation, Coca-Cola Bottling Company, Pete Mankins, Texarkana Community Hospital, Raffaelli Realty, Hunter Power Saw, American National Bank, White's Glenwood House, Buchanan Bottling Company, Bunch Gardens and Pets, and Texarkana Truck Center.
Welcome to Pleasant Grove Hawk football with athletic director and head football coach Johnny Toombs. Last Friday night, DeKalb Bears came into the Grove at Pleasant Grove, and it was a very exciting ball game. Final score DeKalb 18, the Pleasant Grove Hawks 13. Johnny, a much improved team from last year when DeKalb came down and beat Pleasant Grove 33-2.
We talked all week long to our players about the intimidation factor, Gary. Last year we did get intimidated up at DeKalb, and they did beat us and embarrassed us very handily. Last night our players played very hard, and the intimidation factor was not there, and we're very pleased with the results.
Pleasant Grove's defense played good football last night. They intimidated the rushing game of the DeKalb Bears. The passing game was what eventually hurt Pleasant Grove.
Right. Terry Bagsby, their tailback, had gained 205 yards rushing the week before against Lyndon Kildare, and the Hawk defense swarmed all over and held him to 80 yards rushing, which was a tremendous effort on our part.
Tony Wiltshire had 116 yards last night on 28 carries. Todd Howard had 61, so that gives 300 yards for Tony Wiltshire in the first two ball games and about 140 for Todd Howard. So your offense on your rushing game has really improved from last year.
Our offense is much more potent than it was last year. Tony's done a tremendous job. Todd has been a very pleasant surprise to us. David Oliver has been moving the ball well, throwing, and we're very pleased with our offensive progress as well.
I was real pleased with the entire team effort by Pleasant Grove last night. You have to be really proud of these young men. This is their second year as high school football players, after getting beat last year as bad as they did coming back this year and almost won the ball game.
Well, you never feel good when you lose a football game, but we probably have a better feeling this week about last Friday night than we've had in any loss we've ever sustained. We fought very hard, we played very well, and we proved to ourselves that we can be a very competitive football team.
A very exciting first half of action coming up for you, but first, these messages.
Fall is for planting, and Bunch Gardens and Pets is your headquarters for all your lawn care needs. Fertilome borer crystals and Fertilome dormant spray protects against winter insects. Fertilome winterizer fertilizer will protect your lawn by building strong root systems. Now is also the time to repot household plants using Fertilome potting soil. Bunch Garden and Pets also has pets and pet care products. Visit Bunch Gardens and Pets for all your fall planting supplies.
In the showdown between the colas, one fact stands clear. One cola's changed, and one cola's chosen. Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
Thank you.
Beautiful football weather Friday night at the Grove, at Pleasant Grove, Johnny. Who are the captains of that ball game?
The captains this week were senior Kevin Carpenter, senior Tracy Reynolds, and junior Tony Wilshire.
Big crowd on hand for a night that looked like we may have some rain, but the rain missed that area, and the players certainly again excited about the big football game between DeKalb.
Yes, Gary, we finally got a break on the weather. It rained all around us all day long, but we had a dry night, and the players were very excited. We felt the emotions were much higher this week than they were last week for Maud. We got a scare on the opening kickoff. We thought this DeKalb youngster was going to break, but we finally corralled him up close to midfield, and we didn't start out with as good a field position we would like to have had. The early jitters got DeKalb. They fumbled the first snap, was able to recover. The Hawk defense with much more enthusiasm, much better gang tackling against some very good DeKalb backs, Gary.
That gang tackling certainly was there throughout the night in that particular ball game.
It really was. Our linebackers, Mike Valentine, Trace Warren, Danny Vreeland all did a super job, and here DeKalb got a low snap on the punt, and we were able to contain him and got excellent, good field position to start our first offensive threat. We run Todd Howard up the middle on the fullback trap, and he gets down close to the 20-yard line behind some very good blocking by the offensive line. Come back with the option to Tonsi Reed, and he makes a good move or two and moves it on down a little closer, and so the Hawks are on the move.
There's a beautiful pass over the middle there to James Malden.
Yes, it was a big third or fourth down play for us, and there's Tony Wilshire making a good cut, running hard, fighting for extra yardage. He got hit from behind, the ball popped loose, and so we make a good drive, but we give the ball back to DeKalb inside their own 10.
Defense, once again, for Pleasant Grove stands in there and does a pretty good job.
Our defensive ends, Mike Cowles, Russ Stout, Ed Zid, played an excellent ball game. We thought we had a safety on them, and then we let them get out of the hole there. And once again, you can see that the Black Hats are all around the DeKalb runner, and once again, the Hawks hold them, and they punt, and we start out with good field position again. This was caught by Van Morris. Van's going to break one for us. It's just a matter of time. He almost broke here, just got caught. The last man brought Van down on that punt return. He almost broke a couple of kickoffs for us also.
He had one man between that and pay dirt.
We're going to get a cheap touchdown on a kick return one of these days. This is a little bootleg pass. David put the ball in there, but it popped out. And on the next possession, DeKalb comes out throwing, and Johnny Stahl makes a good play there to knock the ball away at the last minute.
If Johnny hadn't been there on the spot, it would have been 6 points for DeKalb.
Johnny made a good recovery. It was not his man, but he recovered and knocked the ball down. And this is what Bagsby can do for you or to you if you let him get loose. And that was a long run to get DeKalb in scoring position.
Here comes a halfback pass from Michael Williams downfield to Eric House for the first score of the ball game. With a minute and 39 seconds left in the first quarter of action, the 6 points goes to DeKalb. The point after was no good at 6-0.
We've seen enough halfback passes the last couple of weeks to last us. We had one thrown on us last week and once again this week. And you can bet Coach Burks and Coach Steele are going to be working on that on the defense and in the secondary.
He was an interception by Eric House, who just earlier scored the touchdown for DeKalb.
Right, we overthrew our receiver, and once again we gave DeKalb good field position, and the defense made them earn their points, but they come up here on this pass play, and they beat us in the secondary, and good pass and good reception, and we've given up 12 points before we can turn around.
20-yard pass from Jason McCullough, the quarterback, to his tight end, Brad Pruitt. 12-0 in favor of DeKalb. They go for two and do not get it, so it's 12-0 with just a few seconds before the end of the first quarter.
So once again, just like we did last week against Maud, Gary, the Hawks have started out behind 2 touchdowns, but the character and the class that we feel like our football team has, showed through, and we came back and not only made a ball game out of it, but certainly had a chance to win the game. We start out our next possession with a penalty, and it bogs down, and we have to punt the football away. And Johnny Stahl didn't kick any long booming punts, but he was very accurate, and he kept it away from their return man like we wanted him to.
He had a pretty good rush from the DeKalb defense and had several good line drive kicks.
He also did a good job a couple of times when we punted inside the 40. He did a good job kicking it inside their 10. So once again, we bogged down. This is one of these kicks here. We elect a punt from the 34. Johnny does a good job of kicking the ball down the field, and Mark Hawkins, Mike Crane get down and recover it or kill the ball inside their 10.
You can see that defense forming again. They only had just a few plays that they made any yardage on the rush last night.
I guess you can say that every football game, but we felt like to take away about 3 plays from DeKalb and give us 3 of our plays back when we didn't score inside the 10, and it completely changes the complexion of the ball game. Like the play back previous, they fumble on their 1 and they recover it instead of us recovering, so it makes a difference. Tony Wilshire behind his offensive line just made some tremendous runs again. He's a slashing, very tough type runner for a little 170-pounder. And, we almost hit the touchdown pass there, and once again, we don't score, and DeKalb gets the football back.
DeKalb certainly were tough when you got inside their 10-yard line. They made it awful tough to get any scoring at all out of them.
Well, that and the turnovers and the fact that we just didn't execute as well as we need to made a big difference in the goal line offense.
Halftime score, 12-0 in favor of the DeKalb Bears, and certainly the first half of action with the 2 touchdowns that DeKalb came up with, those 2 plays, you take those out, would have a no-score ball game, and they had a halftime.
We had a lot of momentum going into the halftime, Gary. Even though we were behind 12-0, we felt like to a man on our coaching staff and on our football team, that to a man we felt like the second half we could come out and play with DeKalb and still had a chance to win the ball game.
Confidence certainly has been a big thing for Pleasant Grove in this their second year as a high school. Last night, They showed poise, and they did show a lot of confidence.
We had some youngsters that we felt like really matured and grew up as football players last night. We were intimidated in the past by some of the better ball clubs. The intimidation factor was not there last night, and I don't feel like that any football team in the future is going to be able to intimidate the Pleasant Grove Hawks, and that's something that we've waited for the last 2 years.
We've got an exciting second half of action coming your way, but first these messages.
Fine home furnishings, less than list prices, free delivery, free design service, and now 9.9% 36-month financing. What more could you want?
So when you want more, than just a furniture store, it's White's Glenwood House.
Meet Charlie and Jan. Jan's using the new Weed Eater power blower to rake a lawn at over 100 miles an hour. Charlie'd have to rake this fast to keep up. Sweeping the driveway? Same thing. See, this Weed Eater power blower uses a powerful blast of air to breeze through grass, dirt, leaves, even light snow. So if you can't rake and sweep this fast, do it at over 100 miles an hour with the Weed Eater power blower. Available here.
This is a stack of $1 million. Why am I showing it to you? Because this is the amount of money Oak Lawn Bank is spending on an expansion plan to better serve your needs. You see, we realize you have a choice where you do your banking, and we'd like to have your business. Extended lobby and drive-in hours, and tellers that treat you like a human being, and loan officers ready to give you the money that you need. Our $1 million investment in you.
Oak Lawn Bank, yeah, we have time for you.
Your family, the most important part of your life. When someone in your family is sick and you don't have a personal physician, Texarkana Community Hospital's physician referral program can help. This service is designed to find just the right doctor for you, and we guarantee you an appointment within 24 hours. Living our commitment to people, we are Texarkana Community Hospital.
Pleasant Grove will be receiving the football to start things off in the third quarter. They're down by the score of 12-0 to DeKalb at this particular point.
Gary, there was a pretty good wind blowing. We felt like it was very important for us to receive the kickoff and be able to move the ball against the wind and at least get a tie with DeKalb this half, and of course a score preferably if we could. We didn't get real good field position off the kickoff, and we had a holding penalty to start, so this drive was hampered from the very beginning. We're here at about the 15-yard line. Once again, Tony makes a good run here behind some good blocks by James Malden and Tonsi Reed and Scott Harris, and we're able to move the ball up the field a little bit. And another good slashing run by Tony for a first down, and the Hawks seem to be on the move.
Tony Wiltshire had several good runs in that ball game, and certainly he looked good on several occasions.
Well, Tony's the back for us that can make things happen. He can break tackles, and he follows his blockers well, and he's going to break a long one for us again. It's just a matter of time. And he complements Todd Hiring's run from tackle to tackle real well. Here's an option play. We didn't quite get the corner block, and Tonsi Reed does a good job of breaking some tackles, and he ends up running about 10 yards for a net gain of 5, but we finally are forced to punt, and Johnny Stahl once again punts it away to DeKalb. The DeKalb boy did not find a handle on the football, and it popped loose, and Kevin Carpenter there was there to make that recovery, so once again we're set up in good field position on the DeKalb 28.
Finally get a break it's early in the third quarter.
We have excellent field position. We need to move down the field and take advantage of it. DeKalb, once again, is playing very tough defense. They're a very good defensive football team. And, of course, we're going with our bread and butter and trying to run Tony on the plays that we have the most confidence in. And our linemen are doing a good job, and we're moving the ball down the field pretty well.
Here comes an 11-yard touchdown run, Johnny, that was just all Tony Wiltshire almost. He had the blocking up front, but broke it there at the 5, went on in to score.
The lineman got him to the hole, and the backside blocking was pretty good, and they sealed it off, and Tony makes a couple of good moves and fights and twists and gets into the end zone. And I'm telling you, there's electricity on the field right now. Everyone is so excited, and we feel so good about ourselves at this point in time.
6:51 left in the third quarter, 6 points on the scoreboard by way of 11-yard run by Tony Wiltshire.
Cab was off sides on the extra point, moved it to the 1.5, and we decided to go for 2, and we didn't quite get in on the blast play. But still, it's 12-6, and once again, this is against the wind, so we've accomplished what we want to accomplish this time. Kick the ball off, get good coverage, but we're going to give DeKalb an awful easy touchdown here in a minute, and this certainly changed our game plan in this quarter.
Bagsby had maybe 3 or 4 good runs, but he was contained most of the night by the defense. Here comes the pass, a 62-yard touchdown pass from Jason McCullough to Eric House, the speedster for DeKalb.
And we were there. We just almost were in position to make the interception. Just didn't quite get there in time to knock the ball away. And, the speed factor caught up with us, and it was a big play. And it was very disappointing that we worked so hard to earn our touchdown, and then they got one back that quick. But once again, the kids had their heads up, and the attitude was, they got one, and we'll go back and get one again, too. We start out once again trying to establish the run inside, hiring up the middle, Wilshire off tackle, which has pretty well been our bread and butter, and we are not able to sustain a long drive and have to line up and punt the football again.
Johnny Stahl had several line drive kicks that he just had to really rush the kick to get it off, and did a pretty good job doing it.
Johnny's not catching the ball real well right now, but he's, the first object is always to get the ball off and get it down the field. He's done that. I'm not sure who recovered that. I think maybe Ed Zid got that one. Gave us good field position again. We hit James Malden with a veer pass. David did a good job sitting and throwing the football. Todd Hiron up the middle. You can see him carrying a lot of white shirts with him. We're down to the 25-yard line, Gary, and we're on the move again.
Todd Hiron, just a sophomore, is doing a really good job for Pleasant Grove this year since Mike Mugno was hurt.
We knew Todd was going to be a player. We just didn't know if he'd be ready this year or not. And of course, Mike did a tremendous job for us, but Todd has stepped in and really done an outstanding job.
Just over the fingertips of Chad Davis downfield. If it had that, we would have had 6 points.
Chad has good hands, and had the ball been there, gave him a little more better chance to catch the football, he could have made the play. This was a little razzle-dazzle play that we tried that I guess fizzled on us, but we were going to try to pitch the ball back to David on a flea flicker down the field, and we just couldn't find the handle on it.
DeKalb has to start their shop on the 5-yard line. They were contained quite a bit throughout the night by the defense.
We had them backed up with their backs to the wall quite often, and they just never came up with a big turnover when they were down close. We nearly got a safety a time or two. They fumbled once on the one, but they recovered it. And, they did the things they had to do to get the ball off the goal line. But once again, I can't say enough about our defense this week. They played much better than they did last week. And every play we had virtually 5, 6, 7 Hawks in on the tackle. And that's what we have to do, play a swarming defense with emotion. And we hold DeKalb again, and they punt the football away.
We're still in the 4th quarter right now, and certainly right now it's a chance for Pleasant Grove to try to get 6 points on the scoreboard.
DeKalb's linebackers are very strong. They're good football players, and we had a hard time blocking them at times, but Todd picks up some yardage there and comes back here on a good play, breaks down at about the 42-yard line. 18-6 ball game. We have an entire quarter. We have the wind at our back, so we're certainly not out of the game by any stretch of the imagination. David uses good judgment here. The receivers weren't open on the bootleg, so David Oliver turns it upfield and runs, makes some yardage out of it. And then here comes Tony again, cutting against the grain behind some good blocks. Tracy Reynolds, James Malden downfield. And we tried the trap once again to Todd, and he moves the ball inside the DeKalb 20. So once again, we're down knocking on the goal.
Inside the 10-yard line right now, and we have that old fumble man.
We just didn't quite find the handle, and we fumbled on the 7-yard line. And once again, that's disappointing, and no one feels any worse about it than we do. And we work hard on it, and it's something that's just going to have to, to work itself out.
But Tony Wilshire, being an aggressive football player, he really fights for the yardage. You're going to have those fumbles once in a while.
Right. We feel like that Tony does a good job, as we've mentioned, and the turnovers have been critical to us. But a lot of it has been because of extra effort, and sometimes when you're twisting and turning, you get hit from all directions and the ball pops loose.
This is one of the few rushing plays that DeKalb was successful on getting a few yards, and now they're having to punt the ball away here in the 4th quarter.
Once again, with the exception of very few plays, we've pretty well controlled DeKalb. We feel like that scoreboard says 18-6, but we feel like we've lined up and played them pretty tough. And so this is late in the ball game now, and we try a little razzle-dazzle on a halfback pass, and I think we got a pass interference call in our favor there. We come back here, David throws the ball to James Malden, didn't quite make connection, and we not able to sustain the drive. And DeKalb comes back late in the ball game here and tries to pass the football, and Scott Eichhorn intercepts. and it gives us a chance to get back in the ball game. There's like, I think there's a little over 2 minutes to go in the game at this point, Gary.
You have to be proud of your offense. They take the football from this point and go down the field to get 6 points right before the end of the ball game.
Well, we get in our 2-minute offense. We don't completely ignore the run. We felt like DeKalb was scattered out, and we wanted to run the ball also, but we were able to throw the football and complete a couple. Here's a nice safety valve pass to Tonsi Reed. It moves up the field for the first down. We come back and try to throw a little screen, but DeKalb has it diagnosed real well, and it's incomplete. We're fortunate that one was not intercepted. A couple of running plays didn't do much, so we hit James Malden on the out pattern for the first down. And, our 2-minute offense does not look that bad.
There's a real good pass play there.
Big pass to Chad Davis. I think it was about a 35-yard gain, got us down to about the 10. Once again, we're still thinking win the football game. Out pattern pass again to James Malden, moves it down to about the 5.
We just have seconds on that fourth quarter clock right now.
There's about 2 minutes or less. We almost hit Van in the end zone for the touchdown. Come back with the quick pitch. Tony spins and gets down once again inside the 5.
Scoreboard clock reads about 14 seconds right now, and it goes down to 4 seconds when David Oliver on a quarterback sneak scores from the 1-yard line.
Right, and following a penalty on the extra point, we're on the 45 of DeKalb. We try our onside kick, we don't get all the football, and we don't get the necessary 10 yards, and of course the game ends 18-13, Gary.
Final score 18-13 in favor of DeKalb, but a lot of pluses in that ball game, Johnny. A team that has really has shown some experience from last year to this year, and a much improved football team from last year.
There is no comparison between this year's football team and last year's. We're much more physical, we're much more mature, we have a lot more leadership than we've ever had. Our kids took an awful lot of punishment last year, and this year, for a change, we're dishing out some punishment. We're hitting with much more authority, we're executing better, and we're going to be a pretty good football team down the line.
We'll be back with a final word, but first, these messages.
Drive a Cadillac Coupe de Ville for $279 a month? Yes, you can at Pete Mankins in Texarkana. A Cadillac Coupe de Ville loaded with all the luxury Cadillac features you've always wanted. $279 a month at Pete Mankins puts you behind the wheel of a 1985 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. These special Pete Mankins Cadillac prices are based on 7% financing good through October 2nd, so act now and drive away today in a Pete Mankins Cadillac Coupe de Ville for $279 a month. Find it at Pete Mankins Cadillac, Pontiac, Nissan, Mercedes in Texarkana.
American National Bank is your full-service bank. For your convenience, our drive-through windows open from 7:30 to 6 weekdays and 9 till noon on Saturdays. As the financial leader in Northwest Texarkana, American National Bank offers interest-bearing checking accounts, money market accounts, IRAs, CDs, and will assist you for your mortgage loan, automobile, personal, or commercial loan. Deposit or withdraw at your convenience with Max 24. American National Bank, 2301 Richmond Road, member FDIC.
Hey, kiddo, did you win?
Yeah.
What you drinking?
Coke.
New Coke?
Yeah, Coke.
Didn't you write a letter to the Coca-Cola company demanding they bring back the old taste of Coke?
Yeah.
So why are you drinking New Coke?
It tastes great. I love it.
So why'd you go to all the trouble of writing a letter?
Power.
Coca-Cola, have we got a taste for you?
Mike Mugno is out for the year, Johnny, but how are the injuries right now with Pleasant Grove after last Friday night's ball game?
Stacy Little injured a bone in his foot, and we don't know the extent of Stacy's injury yet. The doctor said Friday night that he felt like it would be a week to 10 days. So hopefully Stacy won't be gone for more than one ball game. We're still missing Greg Knapp. Greg has an injured foot, an ankle problem, and he's probably going to miss another game or two, and we miss Greg and need to get him back as quickly as we can.
We're going to take a trip to one of Johnny Toombs' practice sessions and talk to one of his coaches.
Today we'd like to interview Tommy Steele, the defensive coordinator and linebacker coach for the Pleasant Grove Hawks. And Coach Steele, at this time, would you introduce your linebackers for us? Over here on the left, we have Mike Valentine, senior middle linebacker. Mike's been a starter at our middle linebacker for, well, this is his third year now. And next to him, Trace Warren. Trace was injured last year. He's our strong side linebacker. Craig Schultz is the first replacement for one of our linebackers. If we have somebody go down or we feel like somebody needs to be replaced for a few plays, well, Craig will come in. And on the right, Danny Vreeland, our weak side linebacker. Coach Steele's in his third year with us here at Pleasant Grove. He came to us from Liberty ILO, and as defensive coordinator, Tommy, how do you feel about this year's defense? Well, I think we're coming along pretty much as we'd expected for many of these kids. Mike, for instance, like I said, he's a senior, and these other guys are all juniors. They're running the same defense for the third year. They've been in the places that they have been for 3 years now, and I think at this point in the year, we're probably where we should be. We feel so too, Coach. We appreciate the job that you and all the Hawk linebackers do, and we'll look for progress from them as the year goes along.
Game 3 of the 1985 football season for Pleasant Grove is a non-conference ball game in Paris, Texas with North Lamar. Last year, an exciting game played at the Grove, final score 14-13 in favor of Pleasant Grove.
Yes, last year we held North Lamar away from our goal line on a 2-point conversion with less than a minute to go in the ball game to preserve that 14-13 victory. We go to Paris. It is our longest road trip, and it's going to be a extremely long trip for the players. And we played them at an 8 o'clock kickoff time. North Lamar has played two ball games also. They tied Commerce the first ball game 12-12, and they lost to a very good Hooks team 31-0 last Friday night.
Now, the ball game last Friday night with Hooks being down 31-0, losing that ball game, they're going to be a little bit up for a victory this week, and I'm sure a lot of preparation for your practice session this week for Pleasant Grove.
Well, they'll be up because of their loss to Hooks, and they'll also be up because of last year's ball game, because they did come down a little overconfident, and we slipped up on them. And in fact, some of their coaches that know some of our coaches have already sent a message down that they would be ready for us in Paris next week, and our team will have to be well prepared for the Panthers.
This particular week of practice session coming up, what kind of preparation are you going to be making for North Lamar?
Well, try to do the same things that we've been doing, only try to, cut out some of the mistakes and execute. I'll be sorely disappointed if our players aren't sky high Monday as a result of the ball game Friday night. But we feel like that we'll have to open up once again more offensively if we can, and defensively we won't have the speed to contain like we've had the last couple of ball games, but North Lamar will have a big, strong football team.
This will be the last non-conference game of the year, and just 2 weeks away from conference. This will be a big ball game for y'all to win.
The momentum into the conference opener 2 weeks away will be very important, and a win this week against North Lamar would certainly help our chances in our opening district ball game.
Johnny, good luck with North Lamar next week. We thank you for watching. Join us again next week for Pleasant Grove Hawk football.
Pleasant Grove football has been brought to you by Twin City Title, Jimmy Cobb Insurance, Texarkana Athletic Club, John Mugno, Oaklawn Bank, Photomation, Coca-Cola Bottling Company, Pete Mankins, Texarkana Community Hospital, Raffaelli Realty, Hunter Power Saw, American National Bank, White's Glenwood House, Buchanan Bottling Company, Bunch Gardens and Pets, and Texarkana Truck Center. Pleasant Grove Football is a production of Dimension Media Services.